So yeah, I'm gonna shake this up, and like I said, this is the food safe glaze that I got tested, and I'm gonna put these inside the mugs and cups. I guess there aren't technically any mugs. This one was supposed to be a mug, but the handle broke off. Yeah, so we're using it as a prototype. But I mean, like, how cute is that octopus? I love it. Also, I'm like really excited that I can have my garage door open. I love having it open. The winter kind of feels so confining sometimes. Alright, I'm just opening the glaze. There we go. Nice and shook up. So we're gonna pour some in here. Boop. And I actually did get this glaze in like a bigger portion, like bucket glaze, but I haven't had a chance to work with it yet because it's been so cold. Now that it's getting warmer, I can definitely keep it in the garage and use it more. It should speed up the glazing process because a lot of times I just get stuck hand painting them, so it takes me a little longer. That would be cool. Alright, so we got our glaze. So what I usually do for the insides is I do like a pour method just for the insides, and then I usually hand paint the outsides. So we're just gonna pour that in there. And so these are glazes, and when they are put in the glaze fire and fired to cone 6, which is over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, they will become very glossy and makes the pottery usable, so that you can, drink out of it and stuff. And then most of my stuff, like some of my pieces that have lusters and golds and stuff, obviously aren't microwave or dishwasher safe, but most of the things that I make are dishwasher, microwave safe, food safe, all that jazz. So they're very functional. So we're just pouring that in there. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask too. Like I said, this is a little bit of a different live. So we're just kind of getting that all out of there. So, as you can see, now the inside is completely coated and food safe. Well, after it gets fired to cone 6, it'll be food safe. So, and then we'll get this other guy going. Okay, and now I just spin it around until the whole thing gets coated. That's usually what I do. And like I said, this is my food safe glaze. It looks like we might need a little bit more in there. Feel free to say hi, or hashtag live if you're watching it live, or hashtag replay if you're watching the replay, or ask any questions you have. Like I said, I'm just glazing these prototypes. So these are kind of examples, practice pieces that we're hoping to have for the new MerMug May line that's coming out. So, and there we go. Now we're pouring them out. We're gonna pour it just a little bit more in here. Make sure we coat the whole thing. There we go. Now our little octopus friend is completely covered. Okay. There we go. So we've got these guys with their liner glazes, and so that's all that's gonna get this glaze. And I have one other glaze that is my clear. As you can see, I use a lot of clear. So we gotta shake this big thing up. Don't worry, I have the lid on and I'm holding the lid, so I'm not gonna end up with it in my face. It has happened before. I've learned my lesson. Okay, so like I said, obviously I have a lot of this glaze. This is the glaze I use the most. It is a clear glaze. All it does is it protects the pottery, protects the art that we did on it, you know, the painting, the underglazes, you know, makes it last longer. And it makes it so that you can see the art underneath, you know, because like if I went to use one of my other glazes, they tend to be more opaque and hard to see usually, so you wouldn't get to see the pictures as much. So this this glaze is like completely clear. It's just basically a coat to make it easier to see. And like I said, feel free to say hi or hop in, ask some questions if you have them. Okay, so we're gonna put this one in here, and this actually has a clear glaze over it, so we're gonna put the clear in the clear. Katerina, sorry, dog's wandering a little bit. She's probably excited about the warm temperatures too. She's like, what? I can go outside for longer than 5 minutes? We've had super duper cold temperatures lately, so today is like really, really awesome. It's really nice today. All right, so we got our clear. So as you can see, a lot of times it's hard to tell the difference between the glazes. So like this is the liner glaze, and it'll be a completely white glaze, like this. This is the same glaze. And it won't have the speckles because this is just the clay making it have the speckles. But this is like a completely clear glaze, and then or completely white glaze, and it's my liner glaze, and then this one is the clear. And there's not a whole lot of difference. You can tell this one's a little whiter than that one, but yeah. A lot of times I'll do that where I'm like, I put them in separate things so I don't get them mixed up. So the clear goes in the cup with the glaze clear on it. The white goes in, you know, with the white. So I don't get them all mixed up. Yeah. Anyways. So now we're just gonna start brushing. I got my big brush right here. And the bigger brush, the better, I should say better, easier it is to coat it. Like I said, a lot of my stuff ends up being hand painted. And so, at least the outside ends up being hand painted. So bigger brushes are easier to be able to do that with. So we're just gonna go, and don't worry, I know it'll cover up the picture, but it does fire clear. So you will be able to see all those awesome octopus tentacles and stuff. Hi, Kirk. And it looks like Haley was watching too. It hasn't notified me that you're watching, but if you're here, Haley, hi. I saw some hearts. I wasn't sure if you're still watching or not. There's a little bit of a lag on these, so it might take me a while to see what you're writing or see what you're doing. Okay, so we're just coating it over. These octopus legs. And then I only go to about here. As you can see, I make my pieces a foot. And so this is when it's firing, so it doesn't have any difficulties with getting stuck to my kiln shelf and stuff, because glaze will melt and coat the piece. So you don't really want it on the bottom of your pieces, otherwise they'll get stuck to your kiln shelf. And then it's really hard to get them off, and then they're not really usable. And I am one of those few potters who does not use any kind of shelf wash or anything, kiln shelf wash. I just don't like having to deal with it, and it's easier for me just to make sure that I'm being careful with how I'm glazing the pieces. So we're just going around. As you can see, it's covering them up, but I usually put about 2 to 3 coats of this on it. This is a pretty stable glaze. This is one of the most stable clears I've ever used. So it's actually very hard to make this clear run a lot, especially if you're hand painting it. If you were to dip it and stuff, it probably would take a little longer, but hi Haley, there it goes. It notified me now. It's like, oh, Haley's watching. So I'm just trying to glaze these pieces really quick, give a chance the other pieces to dry more, and then after I'm done glazing these pieces, I think I'm probably just gonna pull some handles, so that'll be kind of fun to watch if you haven't seen me do that before. I know I tend to just do pottery wheel throwing lives, so this one's actually probably gonna need a coat because the underglaze is a little thicker. It's gonna need an extra coat. There we go. So you can kind of see some of those little tentacles are poking out. And we want them pretty covered, so I'm probably gonna have to put another layer on this guy. However, I am gonna let it dry for a bit, and we'll do this one. Whoop. Give me 1 second. I got glaze on my fingers. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, time for Mr. Octopus. And like I said, I'm only going to about here on the foot so that it doesn't run. But like, this glaze doesn't really run, but I'm usually just pretty careful about it. Because I don't use kiln wash or anything on my shelves. They're completely bare shelves, which is unheard of in the pottery world. So I don't like dealing with kiln shelf wash. I don't have a grinder. It's not very safe, like, to breathe in. So I just avoid it and try to be more careful with my glaze choices. And like I said, feel free to ask me any questions. Like if you have questions about what's going on in our Facebook group, or if you're curious about joining our email list or anything like that. Like I said, there is a booktube video up about what I am trying to read in March. And yeah. So we're just covering this one up. We got almost one coat on there. Alright. Just put a little bit more over here. Okay. And then we'll go back to this one. And put one last coat on it. This is a lot faster with this brush. I haven't used this brush before. I usually have some brushes inside. I usually do my glazing inside because that's where I store them, because you know it gets so cold here that I don't want to ruin my glazes by having them outside in the cold. So as we learned, clay does not like freezing or cold temperatures. So alright, so we got that one done almost. This is gonna go around the top again, make sure I got all of that. Go around the bottom again. So that one's pretty much done. I might do some touch-ups, but that one's pretty much done. I'm wondering where I should put it. Yeah, we'll put it right here. I have a mat, it's fine. Okay, and we'll finish this one. This one probably won't need 3 coats, just 2. Get that over there. Haley says, I'm excited to see how these turn out. Yeah, me too. It'll be fun to see how they interact with the clears and stuff. Rachel, who is doing the art and stuff, tends to use different colors than I do, and definitely paints with underglazes differently than I do. So it'll be fun to see how they interact with the clear, and like she tends to do a lot of layering with them, and you know, uses them a lot like regular paints, which is totally cool, totally fine. I tend to usually do like 1 or 2 colors and then use the clay to carve in and kind of do relief stuff more. But yeah, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see how they turn out. Neither is better, or yeah, there's different ways of doing it. And actually I'm really excited about these, and she'd paint octopus way better than I could do it. It probably wouldn't look like an octopus if I did it. Okay, now I'm gonna start doing the bubble pieces. So for those of you who don't know, this is a certain technique where you do make bubbles with the underglaze, and I have tried it on leather hard, but it doesn't really work. The leather hard isn't absorbent enough to pick up the bubbles and stuff like that, so it's really something you need to do on bisqueware. So I actually went ahead and did these early so they had enough time to dry for the glaze, because clay will only absorb so much, especially after, you know, after it's been fired and stuff. It only absorbs so much water. So you really want to, if you do something like a bubble underglaze, or paint it with underglazes and stuff in the bisqueware stage, you want to make sure that you're letting it dry for a couple of days. Or, you know, sometimes I pop it in the oven at a really, really low temperature to kind of let all of the moisture cook out. So what happens is you take your underglaze, you mix it with soap and a little bit of water, and then you take a straw. It's actually really fun, but it makes like a huge mess, so I don't do it super often. But anyway, so you mix it all together, take a straw, and then you blow in it. You know, you're making all of those bubbles pop up, and then you're just blowing all these bubbles onto your piece. And it's called bubble glazing. And so you can see it's made these bubbles, and then they popped and left the underglaze behind. So it's kind of a fun technique to do, and you don't have to worry about germs and all that. Like I said, these get fired at 2,000, you know, over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Kills everything pretty much. nothing really survives a kiln firing at Cone 6 besides the pottery. So yeah, so it's totally sanitary, I promise. I know it kind of sounds like, because I'm blowing into the glazes and stuff, but so because these are all bubbled and we don't want to lose that coloring and the bubbles that you see on it, these are going to get a clear as well. So that's what we'll be doing. And we'll just mix this up and then make sure that it's still good and mixed up. And we'll paint. Yeah, I actually really enjoy doing bubble glazing. It's just, it uses a lot of underglaze and it makes a big mess. So I usually only reserve it for like one product line a year. So, alright, so we got one. Plates are so much easier to paint, so much faster and so much easier to paint. We got one. Now I'm gonna go to these guys. I'm actually going to do a clear in here. So we're gonna put all that clear in there. Kind of dump it out like we did with the other ones. Do you like all my sound effects? And need a little bit more. Didn't quite coat the whole thing. There we go. Alright. We got our clear on the inside. Now we'll put it on the outside. It looks like I might need some more clear actually. We're running out of clear. Okay. And put some clear in there. There we go. Okay. Let's actually get this guy too while we're, and we'll dump it all in there. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's a little bit off of the camera. Okay. And now I'm gonna do that. Here we go. Alright. We got all our clear on the inside done. Now we'll do our clear on the outside. I'm just gonna do the top half real quick because I can't hold it from the inside yet. I'll wait till the glaze dries a bit before I can do that. Okay. Do that again. And this, like I said, these ones have the same clear glaze on the inside and the outside. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and do this one again. Get 2 layers on that one, and then we'll do the underside. And then, let's see. Sorry about the noises. Sounds like the garbage man came. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but I can. I bet you now you can hear it. I forgot about that. Now that I'm doing them earlier, I have to worry about the garbage man. Because he comes on Thursdays. I didn't think about that. Hopefully it's not too loud. It's not too annoying for you guys. Okay, got that and that one. So this one's got it pooling a little bit. We're gonna dump that out. There's a little bit of extra in there. We don't want too much because then it will crack and cause problems. So make sure we get all the extra out of there. This tends to be one of the glazes. It doesn't really need a whole lot to work. It doesn't really need to be very thick. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these to the side because they'll need to dry, and I'll probably finish them up after the live. But I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what kind of goes into the glazing. It's not a part of the process I usually show very often, so I thought you guys might be interested to see. So we're just gonna put these guys back up here, close all the glazes. I'm however gonna leave these ones in here to finish the pieces off. Okay, so we're just gonna cut these either in 4ths or halves. Depending on the handle they need. I think this one's gonna end up being 4ths. Some of them are pour over, so they don't need as big of a handle. And then we'll cut this one in half. I think we'll leave it. We'll just do 4 like that. Okay, I'm gonna pour myself some more water. There we go. So I tend to use the same bowl over and over again. After time, all the clay will settle to the bottom. So, you know, you can siphon water off if you need it and don't want to get the clay in there. But clay doesn't really expire. There's times where you have to like re-wedge it or, you know, reclaim it or whatever. But you pretty much just use, I mean, it's just dirt. So you can keep reusing it over and over again. So that's kind of the awesome thing about it. So we're just flattening these out. It's probably fun to hear me smacking clay around. It is a good way of getting out aggression. Not that I have anything to say. Actually, generally, I tend to avoid pottery when I'm angry. I usually find that it doesn't work as well if I'm not in the mood for it. Okay, so I usually grab it by the top, and we just get it wet, and kind of like milking a cow, you just push it up. You just pull it down. And you just kind of work it. And once you feel your hand starting to catch or it's starting to dry out, you just get more water. This one I have to be careful with this clay because it's super soft. So I have to be careful not to get the water like too far up here. Otherwise I have a hard time like holding it and it'll start breaking. But yeah, this is kind of how I make my handles. And you just sit there and you just work your way through the handle. There you go. So you can see it's starting to look a lot more handle shaped. Okay. And then once I've got it to a length that I want it at, I usually kind of do the scissor method, which is where you take either these two fingers or these two fingers and flatten it out like this. Okay. Ooh. It does start to hurt your arm a little bit. Okay. And then once it's kind of as flat as I want it to be, I will run my thumb through it, trying to keep it as straight as I can. And this kind of creates a little bit of a indentation in it, which I find usually makes the mug handles easier to hold, to use, because then your thumb can kind of fit in there. Although I have small thumbs, so it probably does, probably not like super comfortable for everybody, but I don't know. I find it more comfortable to hold. I guess you could let me know if you're watching and you don't prefer to have the indent on it. And then like some of my older mugs don't have it, but I have started doing this to my more recent ones. And I find it just kind of makes it more comfortable. Alright, so this one's getting to the end. So, here's our handle. We're just gonna find a bat really quick. Before I, because I was gonna use that one, but it's got my glazed pieces on it, so. I wonder, do I have a bat somewhere? Alright, we're just gonna use these little ones. Then you pinch it off. And there we go. I'll bring it up so you guys can kind of see. There's the handle. So like I said, these are really, really wet and they have to be the same dryness as the mugs and stuff that I'm trimming. So in order to do that, I need to let them dry a little bit. I usually put them in with the mugs that I plan on putting the handles on so that they have a chance to dry at the same rate and kind of even out the dryness. At least, I don't know if that's like scientific or anything. It makes sense in my brain, so that's what I do. But I find that they usually dry at a similar rate if I put them in together. Sometimes the handles will dry faster and stuff, but usually when I'm trimming, the mugs are already pretty close to what they need to be to have the handles, and then you're just really waiting for the handles to match that same dryness. So when you attach it, you don't have any cracking or breaking or anything like that. So this is obviously too big for like one. So sometimes I will pull them really long, and then I'll have multiple handles that I can make out of them. And then also, I know a lot of you have seen like my fancy handle mugs and my twisted handled mugs and stuff. So with the fancy handle mugs, all the little doodads and stuff get added after it's dried for a while. And then with the twisted handle, I'll do it in this step too. So like this one, I would take it and start twisting it and kind of making it look more like a vine or a tree and stuff like that. So you see those handles on like my winter tree mugs. They have kind of the twisted viney handle. So yeah, but I don't have any of those that I'm doing this time. So we're just doing basic old handles. I think one of them might be a fancy handle, but like I said, I don't do those until later. And this bat is too small. Alright, we're just gonna pinch it off then. We'll have a smaller handle. There we go. And there's still a little bit left. I'm gonna see if I can get some smaller handles out of here, because I do have some pour overs and their handles aren't as big as the mugs are. Because the shape just doesn't allow for the handles to be super big, but I still like to put them on my pour overs so that way you're not like burning yourself or something after you are done making coffee. I feel like it's a more pleasant experience if you have the pour over have a handle. I know not all of them do, but in my experience it's been easier to have ones with handles. So we're just kind of moving that clay down a little bit. And there we go. We'll run our finger through it, flatten it out a bit. It doesn't really matter what order you do that in. Sometimes I do it before, sometimes I do it after. Flatten it out. Flatten it out. There we go. And we got another handle, and that'll actually be like the perfect size for a pour over. And I mean, it's obviously a little long, but I usually like to make them a little bit longer so that I can make sure that they fit it and I'm getting the best part of the handle to attach. So okay, so I'm probably gonna do one more handle and then I'm gonna call it there for this live. But anyways, I think this is gonna be the last handle that I throw or pull, the last handle I pull, and then I'll probably call it there. So let's get another one of these ones ready. There is a customer who has a custom order that wanted like a wider handle, so that's why this one's kind of more flat. So we're just gonna do that. I'm sorry guys, it didn't get really to the trimming today. They just weren't quite right. They were like so close. I thought maybe if I left them out they would be ready, but they're just not quite there. Probably tomorrow. They'll be like perfect trimming, handle attaching tomorrow. But I was like, dang, they're so close. So I will probably be back out here tomorrow to do that. Alrighty, this is kind of being a little funky. Alright. Okay. Thicker handles are harder for me to pull because I just don't have a very wide you know, I have tiny hands, so that makes it harder to make them. Makes it harder to make them wider. I'm getting better at it, though. I mean, I don't blame people. Wide handles are pretty comfy. I like them, too. I just wish I was better at... I shouldn't say better at. I just wish it was a little easier for me to make them that way, I guess. Okay. And flatten that out. There we go. Katerina. Okay. Sorry. had to make sure I hadn't lost the dog. She doesn't really like run off or anything. She actually stays here pretty well. But the garage door is open, so sometimes she wanders a little bit. Alrighty. Oh, okay. So we got some handles. Looking pretty good. That one's not as wide as I want it to be. So I'm probably going to try to make one a little wider than that. But I think I'm going to call it there for this live. Probably will cover up the leather hard stuff and just plan on trimming it tomorrow and finish glazing the pieces that we didn't finish. So yeah, that's all I got for today. It was kind of a little bit of everything. I mean, besides the trimming, but you know, you saw a little bit of different things today, so it was kind of fun. And let me know in the comments too if you prefer me just to do throwing lives, or if you like lives that have a little bit of everything, you like seeing the different stages, or if you would prefer them to be like kiln openings and stuff too. Let me know in the comments, and I'd be happy to oblige. So thank you for watching. Bye.